Hey, Cairo, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time of day it is, I pray that your mind, your heart, and your spirit are all poised to receive, to accept, and to respond to words of wisdom. Ashe. There's a great verse of Ifa that tells of a woman named Merie. And Merie was a person who had some prohibitions, right? Ifa had put onto her life some limitations and said she couldn't do certain things. In particular, she could not go into the forest. And as it turned out, Merie had some friends, and her friends had discovered a way to make money selling a certain fruit that they could gather out of the forest. And so Merie wanted to go with her friends on this particular day and gather fruit in the forest and sell in the market. But Merie knew that it was a taboo. So she went to consult Ifa. And Ifa spoke to her condition, as Ifa will do, and said, we know that you want to go and do something that's against your spiritual nature. And so what you need to do in advance is you need to make a sacrifice. So Merie made the sacrifice and she went to the forest. And it didn't turn out the way that she had expected it would turn out. She didn't meet with the same kind of success that her peers did. But because she had made the sacrifice, even though the situation panned out differently than she had anticipated, she was blessed enormously. And Olodumare wanted to demonstrate for Merie the real blessings that she was entitled to as a child of the divinities. Merie's friends saw this and she wanted to replicate what Merie did, but she didn't do all of the things that Merie did. She just did the part that she saw, the part that she was able to observe of Merie's experience. And it turned out very unfortunately for her. She met with her demise. And there's a bitter lesson in that example, which is one man's food is another man's poison. It means that what's good for one can be very bad or fatal for another. And so today what I want to do is I want to share a lesson that exemplifies what that means and how you can take advantage of that wisdom and respect the fact that what's good for one person may not be good for you. As a matter of fact, what's good for one could actually be bad for you. Now, this is the Orisha Lifestyle Academy, and I'm your instructor, Obafemi Origunwa. And today's lesson really, I think, will help you to chart a course that continuously builds upon your inborn or your natural opportunities and will help you prevent a situation where you're trying to take advantage of other people's opportunities. Now, as it plays out in Orisha Lifestyle, the problem is for African Americans in particular, the problem that you face as a practitioner and a devotee is that Yoruba culture and Orisha lifestyle in particular are exponentially more diverse than anything you know. And this is hard for us to grasp. Like, it is exponentially more diverse. So the field of opportunities, the number of choices that you have to select from in choosing what is food and what is poison is exponentially more diverse than anything that you know, anything that you can ever imagine. Let me give you a very simple example. 4 letters. O-G-U-N. O-G-U-N. Those 4 letters can mean at least 10 different things. At least. And I'm sure if I sat down with some proficient Yoruba speakers, it's probably up to 20. Right? O-G-U-N. Okay? It can mean you climb, you mount, you straighten. It straightens. Sweat. 20. Inheritance. Warfare. Medicine. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on and on about O-G-U-N. And if there are any Yoruba speakers who are listening to this message, I invite you to comment in the comment section below. Add to the thread, and let's just see how many different meanings we can come up with for O-G-U-N. Okay, there's nothing like that in the English language. There's nothing like that in the Spanish language. There's nothing like that in French or Portuguese. Okay, so even if you're really proficient, you speak, 3 or 4 different Western languages, there's nothing in Western language that compares to the diversity of Yoruba language. Nothing. There's nothing that even comes close. This is significant because language organizes thought. Language organizes thought. If you think about it, the human experience is arguably universal. But our ability to organize and express that experience is directly tied to our language. Okay? And so the ways in which you can articulate your experience and articulate how you observe the experience of life is bound by the language that you speak. Okay? So what this means for a Yoruba speaker, someone whose first tongue is Yoruba, it means that they have a considerable range of mental flexibility. Okay? They have a considerable range, a broader range of mental flexibility because of the way the language is structured. But that flexibility is always rooted in reality. So we don't have to pretend and be super creative about O-G-U-N meaning either 20 or you climb. You don't have to be creative about that. You don't have to stretch it. It's basic. A little child will be able to, if you say it this way or that way, they would say yes, they would be able to respond to it. It's not abstract thinking. It's grounded in truth, in reality, tangible reality. Okay? It's not something that you have to go get some scholars to pull out some ancient etymology to figure out this root word. Nope. O-G-U-N, if you pronounce it this way, it means 20. If you pronounce it this way, it means medicine. If you pronounce it this way, it means climb. If you pronounce it this way, it means inheritance. If you pronounce it this way, it means war. Right? It's just a fact. So what I'm trying to help you understand is that the mindsets that we have as Westerners can be radically different from the mindsets that a Yoruba person can have. They have a lot of flexibility, but that flexibility is always grounded in reality. It's grounded in an actual translation, in an actual meaning, in a real experience. The challenge for you as the devotee who's coming in contact with a ritual specialist or a priest or a priestess who comes from Nigeria is that you have to constantly ask yourself, is their reality or is their range of reality congruent with your destiny? Is it congruent with your present day reality? In other words, to what extent do you need to make use of all of that diversity? How much practical application can you draw from all of those possibilities? Okay? So, let's go from Ogun, Ogun. Let's look at a simple verse of Ifa. You can take a single verse of Ifa and you can sit with 5, 6, 7 different Babalawo. And those 5 Babalawo will have, 10 different remedies, different kinds of medicines, different kinds of charms, different rituals, different ceremonies that can be derived from that single verse. And in a single ritual, there can be 3 or 4 different ways to carry it out. The sequence of events, what you say first, what you do last, what the taboos and the prohibitions are after you've done the ritual. I mean, it just gets more and more and more diverse and more complicated. Okay? Now, if you are a person who has a very high tolerance for ambiguity, you got a really high level of tolerance for either competing ideas or apparently conflictual ideas and practices, you can do really well because it becomes sort of like a compression thing. You can take all this diversity of ideas and you don't have to make any conclusion. You can just hold them and you're able to, be in suspended animation for weeks and months and years at a time. And it ends up making you into a bit of a diamond. Your perspective becomes multifaceted. You can see many different angles at one time and understand them as a part of a whole, right? If you're blessed in that way, or you have the luxury of comfort and you don't have to necessarily pull the trigger on one thing or another, you can just wait, right? That's a special environment. That's a special situation. For the vast majority of us, at the time that we're coming into contact with these verses and with these rituals and this medicine and these charms, we have a real need. We have a real problem that needs to be solved today. Okay, so you don't have the luxury of waiting. For that reason, when you understand the idea that one man's food is another man's poison, and you got to make decisions on the information that you're being given, this is where my strategy is going to be super duper important for you. Okay? The best way to understand, hey, it's all this information and all these practices, are they congruent with my destiny? The only way, the most effective way, I should say, that you're going to understand and be able to make that determination is by being on point. You yourself have got to be moving in a specific direction. You got to have a very clear focus. This is who you are. This is what you're made of. This is what you're doing. Okay? You've got to dial it back and draw that energy and that attention inward to be perpetually clear about what you're doing. Because that's what's going to help you discern, okay, this works for me or that doesn't work for me. This is important and this is a high priority. That's not important. That's a low priority. The only way you can do that is by knowing what you're doing, being clear about who you are, being clear about what you bring to the table, what you're made of. Okay? And that comes through practice. That comes through you doing what you're supposed to be doing. Doing what you're supposed to be doing based on your prenatal choice, based on your natural gifts and talents, based on who you serve, keeping your face focused on what you're meant to be doing. That is the best way for you to make the determination of what is food and what is poison. Okay? Because let me tell you the other part about, my brothers in West Africa, in Nigeria. From a African American cultural perspective, Nigerians are pushy. They're not rude. I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but they're pushy. They're going to be insistent That you do things in this way, and that you take this and you take that and you take this and you take that and you do this and you do that. And this is how you end up with 20 different pods and 18 different titles and all kinds of other stuff. Well, and it isn't just that you have a lot of stuff. It's just that there's a lot of stuff that you don't really have a good use for. There's a lot of stuff that you don't understand, right? So you've got to be able to filter. You've got to be able to filter and say that this is what works for me. This is how far that will work for me. This is as far as I'm willing to go for. With that, I don't need this. I don't want that. But it has to be rooted in your reality. And your reality has to be driven by an actual practice. Okay? Now, here's your other challenge. This is what I know based on working with lots of my people. You're trying to do 5 things. You think that you serve 10 different people, 3 different causes. And it's not possible. I'm going to tell you, you only can do 1 or 2 things exceptionally well at a time. You can only do 1 or 2 things exceptionally well at a time. I'm talking about exceptionally well, operative word, exceptionally well. Okay? You're an astronaut, you're an NBA basketball player, and you're a world-class husband. All those things at the same time. Is anyone who tells you that they're all those things, they're a liar. Or they're crazy. You're an NBA player. You are on the roster, you have a jersey, and you practice with an NBA team. And you're an astronaut. And you're a world-class husband. Your wife is happy as she can be. No, it's not possible. You're going to be one or the other. And if you're lucky, you're going to be able to stagger them, right? And first you were a really good husband, and then you became a really good NBA player, and then you became an astronaut. In your lifetime, sure, you might be able to pull those together if you do them in a certain sequence. But here you are, 27 years old, 35 years old, and you're trying to tell me that you're going to be all those things at once. No, you're not. You're not. Okay? You're going to be real sucky at all 3 of them. You're going to be garbage at all of them. Don't do it to yourself. You didn't choose to do all of those things at the same time. You chose to do one thing. Accept that one thing. Accept the cause that you're destined to serve, and focus on that. Dedicate yourself to that. Let everything else go. Let all of your attention be drawn out. Draw your attention away from all the other distractions and focus on the one thing that you're meant to do, and then start practicing it. Start mastering it. Start refining your mastery of it to a higher and higher and higher degree. And then you're going to understand what I'm saying about what's food and what's poison. It's going to be more clear because I'm just an NBA player. That's it. Matter of fact, I'm not just in the NBA. I am a point guard. I am a shooting point guard, or I'm an assisting point guard. You get more and more and more specialized in your role when you commit to it. But see, it's the people who think that they're a little bit of everything. I'm a jack of all trades. Those are the ones who can't discern food from poison. Trust me, you're not going to lose anything by focusing on your natural gifts and talents. You're not going to lose anything by focusing on the people or the person or the cause that you are destined to serve. That is your ticket to being clear about what is food and what is poison. Okay? And so until you make that commitment, until you invest 150% in a single discipline that is based on your prenatal choice, and you're going to continue to take poison thinking that it is food and not being able to tell the difference. Okay? So I hope that this is a lesson that you can make use of. I hope that you understand what the real point here is. It's not about the food or the poison. It's not about the pushiness of the Nigerians or the diversity of Yoruba culture. It really boils down to you and your willingness to accept who you are, and your willingness to stand and commit to what you were born to represent in the world. In the Orisha Lifestyle Academy, our focus is 100% on helping you take that inside out approach to making the difference. Our literature, our training, our educational programs, all are designed to help you take an inside out approach, to help you to establish roots before you try to grow wings. I am always looking for leaders in the School of Orisha Studies and in the Orisha Lifestyle Academy. I'm looking for people who are committed to changing the world, to improving the world through making a positive contribution. If you're one of those people, I want you to visit obafemio.com or orishalifestyle.com. Get yourself enrolled today, and let's start living the medicine that will heal your life and heal the lives of those who you are destined to serve. Aboru, aboye, aboshishe.
Mama.